22 years after Freaky Friday was originally released, Freakier Friday has finally hit theaters. Was it worth the wait, or should this have been relegated to a Disney Plus release? I'm Nick Iricchio. Welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review, and today we are talking about, you guessed it, Freakier Friday. Now, I want to start off kind of with a personal note, just saying that I feel like I don't have the same nostalgia for the original Freaky Friday that a lot of people that I've been seeing online have. I sort of grew up watching more Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap. So this was a movie that I wouldn't necessarily say that I was like overly excited about, but definitely interested. Mostly because one, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I think she's a terrific actor, and I'm always wanting to see what project she's going to be in. I'll use that to kind of jump into my pros of the movie, which are just that Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan's chemistry is magnetic. It's like they slip back into these roles, not a minute of time has passed, and just seeing them on screen together and the way they're interacting, the way they're playing and ad-libbing off one another is it's just great to see. A lot of my pros do for this movie center along the cast. You know, Lindsay Lohan's chemistry with the love interest in the movie, Manny Jacinto, who you may know from The Good Place and The Acolyte, which I love The Good Place. I have not seen The Acolyte. I've heard sort of mixed things, but across the board, have heard nothing but positive about Manny Jacinto in it. I thought that they worked really well together, and their two daughters are in the movie, played by Julia Butters and Sophia Hammons. And Julia Butters, you actually may recognize from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was sort of a scene stealer in that movie in her small part as sort of this child actor who is working with Leonardo DiCaprio's character on a scene. And she was sort of the highlight for the movie for a lot of people. So I was always kind of excited to see where her career would go. And it's great to see Julia Butters showing up in a project that's going to get such this wide release and getting her name back out there after that turned in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was sort of unsure at the beginning, or a little hesitant, I should say, about the four-way body swapping that was occurring in the movie, and I was really interested to see how these younger actors would take on the roles of Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. And while I was sort of unsure and on edge about their characters at the beginning, once the body swapping shenanigans actually occurred, I thought that they gave great performances, sort of bringing on the nature of Jamie Lee Curtis, bringing on the nature of Lindsay Lohan. And I thought that was really where those two actors got to shine the most. There's also a lot of really fun side characters. Namely, there's a principal in the movie who I thought was a comedic standout for me. She probably got the most laughs out of me out of all the characters. And I think that was really where the movie shined, was when it let the characters just sort of have that breathing room to kind of play in the space that they're in. Because this is a comedy, after all, with actually a very large amount of physical comedy. So when you let the actors get into that scenario and let the scene sort of play out organically, I thought that was really when the movie was firing on all cylinders for me. I would also say another positive for the movie for me is its use of nostalgia. You know, the callbacks and references to the original movie, as well as some returning characters, such as, you know, Chad Michael Murray comes back, as well as Mark Harmon, who plays Jamie Lee Curtis's husband. I thought that their introductions into the movie, the way they play their role in the film, I thought was nostalgia bait done very well personally. It didn't feel overly forced. It felt organic to the story that they were telling. And I thought it was just an instance of where they could have overstuffed this with so many references to the original. And while they are there, it was not as heavy handed as I was expecting it to be. In terms of negatives of the movie, I would say it's kind of just more of the same. You know, they do try to take the story in some interesting directions, but more or less it is just sort of a retread of the events of the first movie, just now with four people swapping bodies instead of two. The same lessons are learned. The characters kind of go on very similar journeys. It's a little disappointing to sort of see that repetition and not an expansion. I found a lot of the humor too, when it tried to be way too modern, kind of came across as cringy to me. You know, it felt very forced to try to get a laugh and not just letting sort of the situational comedy occur, which is what's naturally funny about a movie like this. And again, too, toward the end, when you start getting into the sentimental, emotional wrap up of the storyline, I did find it to be a little bit cheesy, a little bit repetitive, and a little hallmarky, which, again, that's not a bad thing. It's not like I had really high expectations for Freakier Friday. You know, it is keeping tonally and thematically the same as the original, while trying to keep it a little more vibrant, a little more modern, which I do want to respect and appreciate that effort that they put in. Overall, I wouldn't say it's a standout movie for me of the year, but it is a light, breezy watch that I really had a great time watching, and I am glad that I got to experience it in a crowded theater. You know, the audience I was with was eating it up. They love seeing the characters back onto it, and I think that love for the original is going to be this movie's greatest strength in propelling it to a really strong box office, which I do think it will end up having. But did Freakier Friday work for you? Please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on the movie, and if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to our channel for more movie reviews, and as always, we will see you on the next movie review.